Zimbabwe court jails opposition politician for violating the electoral law. And now the news in details. President Muhammadu Buhari has given a marching order to law enforcement agencies to deal decisively with any individual or group that attempts to sabotage the nation's electoral process through any form of malpractice. Speaking at an emergency national caucus meeting of the governing All Progressives Congress, the president vowed to ensure that Nigeria's democracy is safeguarded from abuse no matter what it takes. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has details.
Informed by the sudden postponement of elections by INEC, the Emergency National Caucus meeting of the APC was an opportunity by stakeholders to critically analyze and properly respond to issues at stake as they affect the interests of the governing party. President Muhammadu Buhari, who revealed that he was only informed about the shift in dates for the polls at 4:35 Saturday morning, described the reasons for the action by the nation's electoral umpire as flimsy.
INEC had all the time and all the resources they wanted. They didn't have to wait for only 6 hours to cast in the votes to tell us that it was impossible. We do not understand why this inefficiency. And we have to go into details after the election to find out who is responsible. Definitely, the reasons why such incompetence manifests itself has to be explained to the nation. Otherwise, our efforts, to make sure that this system we voluntarily accept is not making progress. What is the use if we will accept incompetence? The Constitution and the laws protected INEC, but they must not take us for granted.
Even as the elections were postponed by 1 week, there were reports on the discovery of various acts of malpractices in parts of the country. The president, who described the situation as unfortunate and intolerable, directed law enforcement agencies to do whatever is necessary towards ensuring that votes count.
I have briefed the law enforcement agencies and the military. They have identified hotspots, flashpoints. They should be prepared to move. I want Nigerians to be respected. Let them vote whoever they want across the parties. I'm not afraid of that. I have gone through, as you said, the whole 36 states and Abuja. I went round. I think I have got enough supporters across the country. So anybody who thinks he has enough influence in his locality to lead a body of thugs to snatch boxes or to disturb the voting system, he will do it at the expense of his own life.
President Buhari, however, used the opportunity to once again urge the teeming supporters of the APC to remain steadfast and exercise restraint while returning to vote on Saturday.
We have to tell our constituencies that they have to be patient and must react in a very responsible way by going peacefully to vote again. I do not expect anybody to make any disturbance.
National chairman of the APC, Adams Oshomole, also spoke in the same vein, saying no matter the circumstances, taking Nigeria to the next level is a task that the nation's majority is not prepared to compromise.
One setback cannot be the end. Our commitment to democracy is not negotiable. Our people's determination to elect Mr. President is not at the mercy of any institution, including INEC. And many have resolved that the more INEC try to frustrate our people, the more determined we are.
The chairman, who expressed serious reservations over the intentions and neutrality of INEC regarding the way and manner the elections were rescheduled, however, said the APC is now fully alert and alive to its responsibilities as the party to beat. In Abuja, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
And in the meantime, the All Progressives Congress rose from its caucus meeting, resolving to review its campaigns across the country in the run-up to the rescheduled polls. Citing examples of the negligence on the part of the Independent National Electoral Commission to newsmen, the national chairman of the APC, Comrade Adams Oshomole, called the entire development a national emergency. Hence, the party's resolve to renew its campaigns across the country.
If the president president did not have access to privileged information until about 4 a.m. when he woke up to say his morning prayers. How can INEC explain that PDP hierarchy had information, prior knowledge of the fact that the elections were not going to take place? These and many other activities have raised doubt in our mind about the impartiality of INEC and the unholy alliance between a section of INEC leadership and the PDP establishment.
The party also called on Nigerians to support the democratic process by uniting to vote in peace on Saturday, February 23rd. The Buhari Support Organization has assured the All Progressives Congress of its continued support ahead of the rescheduled February 23rd presidential and National Assembly elections. National Chairman of the organization, Dr. Mahmoud Abubakar, gave the assurance at a media briefing today in Abuja. Kunle Adeye reports.
The Buhari Support Organization is the umbrella body in charge of all the support groups of President Muhammadu Buhari. The briefing convened by the organization was to express disappointment over the postponement of last Saturday's polls, but however urged members not to relent in their efforts towards mobilizing support for President Buhari's re-election bid.
We have our support base, and people have seen what APC has accomplished in 3.5 years. A lot of things that have not happened in over 16 years back, before 2015. We are not threatened in any way. We have the people, we have the support, and they know what APC stands for. Especially they know what the president is all about. He's about the people, he's for the country, he's for progress.
He implored members to embark on massive sensitization of the electorate on the achievements of the Buhari administration. Similarly, the chairman of Abuja Municipal Council area, Abdullahi Adamu Candido, has called on opposition political parties to maintain decency in their comments, especially as regards the postponement.
We have called on the PDP Publicity Secretary to guide his words on the person of Mr. President. The frustration and desperation for power must not be reason to reduce the office of Mr. President to nothingness. Instead, they should blame themselves for their misfortune, having had 16 years opportunity that was not utilized for the common good of Nigerians.
The APC, he assured, will always remain law-abiding before, during, and after the elections. In Abuja, Kunle Adeye, NTA News.
The United States Embassy says it fully supports the joint statement by the heads of the ECOWAS and all the international election observation missions on the postponement of the February elections. This is contained in a release made by the Public Affairs section of the Embassy Press Office on Sunday. The Embassy further says it is encouraging all Nigerians to ensure a free, fair, peaceful and credible elections by voting together in peace on the 23rd of February and supporting the Independent National Electoral Commission as it finalizes preparations this week. The FCT Independent National Electoral Commission has returned sensitive materials it received from the conduct of the postponed presidential and National Assembly election to the vault of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Ifeoma Ojinta reports. Okay, we apologize. We can take that report right now, but we'll do in subsequent bulletin. But let's move on. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in Kwara, in Adamawa State, has retrieved all the smart card. Let's take that again. The Kwara State chapter of the All Progressives Congress has advised INEC against compromising its integrity and neutrality in the execution of its assignment, especially in the deployment of ad hoc staff in the state during the forthcoming general elections. This was contained in a statement issued in Ilorin, Kwara State on Monday by the Kwara APC chairman, Bashir Bolarinwa, and signed by the Publicity Secretary, Folaromi Tajuddin Aro. The chairman said the party received information that those being posted across Kwara as electoral officers and technical staff were nominated and trained by the PDP. He also cited the case of an electoral officer who was caught hiding boxes of ballot papers in an office in Kwara North by a vigilant DSS officer, saying that when the electoral officer was forced to open the office by the DSS official, he admitted to hiding the boxes but claimed it was a mistake. He called on INEC to make available to all the parties records of the sensitive materials that will be distributed to all local governments and wards across the state ahead of Saturday's presidential and National Assembly elections in order to forestall any attempts at misconduct or rigging. And now we go back to the story we called on earlier. The FCT Independent National Electoral Commission has returned sensitive materials it received from the conduct of the postponed presidential and National Assembly election to the vaults of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Ifoma Ojinta reports.
The sensitive materials left the premises of the FCT INEC office Sunday afternoon amidst tight security for the Central Bank of Nigeria.
It has been our custody, but today we have to return all of them back to this safekeeping at the vault of the Central Bank. We will not have conducted a very credible election with the materials, with the 13 pellet missing. And it is not, the FCT is not in isolation. So there was really a need. That is why all these materials that we collected, they were in our custody. In fact, only yesterday again, I received, there was a misdirected material, which I collected from Kasina office. So I am going to add that one and give it to Central Bank to keep.
This is the old CBN here in the FCT, and over 10 truckload filled with sensitive materials have just gone into the premises of the Central Bank. However, due to security reasons, cameras were not allowed into the CBN.
I wouldn't see how we could have gone on an election with those materials. Those materials are almost half of the materials for the 6th Area Council. And again, result sheet belonging to the senatorial election in FCT misdirected to Katsina, and they brought it. If we are to go ahead with the election, where will we get those result sheets? So you see, but now, with all these things I know, by now, I have the special grace of God, we are going there now to make sure everything we took is brought back.
It will be recalled that the FCT Independent National Electoral Commission took delivery of the sensitive materials for the rescheduled Saturday 16th polls for the Federal Capital on the eve of the postponed election day. Ifoma Ojinta, NTA News.
And in another development, sensitive materials deployed to all the 16 local government areas of Ekiti State for the conduct of the elections have been returned to the Central Bank of Nigeria office in Ado-Ekiti. Ayodeji Ogunshakin reports that the materials have been confirmed by the concerned key players in the electoral process.
The non-sensitive materials initially distributed on the eve of the election day was performed at the office of CBN Ado-Ekiti. The returned materials were confirmed by security agents, political parties, officials of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) and CBN, who confirmed that the materials are in order.
Ekiti State happens to be one of the first states that successfully retrieved all the materials. Everything I can confirm to you with my sister agencies and the INEC director that everything is very, very much intact.
All the materials has been retrieved, the one that was dispatched before, so nothing tampered with, so everything is intact.
We confirm with our own record and we discovered that all the materials were intact.
What they did mainly was to invite the security officers inside to confirm if all the necessary materials has arrived, and they have confirmed it.
The Administrative Secretary of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) in Ekiti State, Dr. Muslim Omoleke, said that other sensitive materials that were not received before the shift in the election have arrived for the conduct on Saturday.
Most of the results were customized. We have received virtually all the materials, but we need to cross-check.
Non-sensitive materials have also been returned following the postponement last Saturday. In Ado-Ekiti, Ayode Jogunshakin, NTA News.
You're watching NTA International News, reaching you live from Abuja. We're going to break. Stay tuned for more news.
A new edition of TV Guide is out with special focus on the role of the media in election campaign. Exclusive on the National Broadcasting Commission, its mandate as the sole regulator of Nigerian media, Dr. Thomas Dama then and Ishak Modibo-Kawu now. This edition also features the king of stand-up comedy in Nigeria, Ali Baba. NTA standards to be ready for election transmission after decades of abandonment. Find out from the DG transactional elections in our political space. An evil wind that blows no good. DG, National Orientation Agency, calls for TV Guide, your indispensable companion, x-rays the impact of social media on electioneering process as electorates present their expectations from incoming government. Meet some TV professionals behind the screen and other inspiring stories in sports, entertainment, and lots more. Grab a copy at the vendor near you or NTA stations nationwide. TV Guide, your indispensable companion.
Thank you for staying tuned. Reactions have continued to trail the decision of the Independent National Electoral Commission to bar political parties from campaigning after shifting the presidential and National Assembly elections by 1 week. The question begging for answer now is, does the electoral umpire have this power against the backdrop of the Electoral Act? Dele Atumbi takes a look at the legal perspective to the campaign timeframe in line with the laws of the land.
Explicit and apt on the time frame in which candidates and political parties can campaign. The Act provides that campaigns shall commence 90 days before the ballot and end 24 hours before ballot. With a shift in election dates, what is the fate of political parties and their candidates in line with the provisions of the Electoral Act?
The provisions of Section 99 of the Electoral Act is very clear. Shall within 90 days and 24 hours before, that is to say, if INEC decide to shift the time allotted for the said election, campaigns will only stop 24 hours before the next date fixed for that election.
Having adjourned the polling day, I would think, with all due respect, that the field is still open to the parties to try their luck between now and 24 hours to the new date.
Political activity, in my opinion, reading and giving a clear and unambiguous literal interpretation of the provision of Section 99, can resume their campaign.
With the pronouncement of the INEC chairman banning campaigns, some legal practitioners offer this legal advice.
Is that these regulations that INEC can make has to be situated within the period as established by the law.
The right donated by the Electoral Act cannot be taken away by any regulation of INEC.
Now that it has been shifted, you are entitled to campaign under the law between now and Thursday, and then you wait until Friday, then Saturday, the next election, which is 24 hours.
Going by the law as it is, Section 100, Subsection 1 empowers INEC to make rules and regulations to guide campaigns. Observers say the Commission, however, cannot make rules and regulations that is not in conformity with the Act. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
And reports just reaching us says the Independent National Electoral Commission has lifted the ban on campaigns and adverts till midnight Thursday, 21st of February 2019. Details you get in a subsequent bulletin. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, says the statement issued by the Special Advisor Media to the Director General of the PDP Presidential Campaign Council, Dr. Doyin Ogukbe, in which he credited Senate President Bukola Saraki with the appointment of Lai Mohammed as Minister, is nothing but fiction writing. A statement signed by a Special Assistant to the Minister of Information and Culture, Shagun Adeyemi, noted that Lai Mohammed owes his appointment as Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to President Muhammadu Buhari and no one else. The minister challenged Dr. Ogukbe, who concocted the story in question, to make available to Nigerians any evidence that he may have in support of his claims. The Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria has directed its members to reduce petroleum pump price from 145 naira to 140 naira following the postponement of elections. The decision of the national president of the association, Elder Chinedu Okoronkwo, said it was taken in order to motivate Nigerians to return to their respective polling stations to vote on February 23rd and March 9th respectively. Elder Chinedu Okoronkwo says the decision followed the concern expressed by President Muhammadu Buhari as well as all the contestants, observers and voters nationwide over the election postponement. Ipman said this is part of its contribution towards encouraging Nigerians to participate in the election process. He therefore urged all its members across Nigeria to immediately comply with the directive. This Ipman president said it's in view of the political situation that hit the country after INEC suddenly announced the postponement of the presidential and National Assembly elections. They therefore called on Nigerians to exercise patience and come out en masse to cast their votes on the rescheduled date. And on business, let's join Olainka Ujo, who is standing by.
Welcome to Business News. The fourth quarter 2018 report released by the Central Bank of Nigeria shows that currency in circulation as at the end of December 2018 rose to 20.9% to stand at 2.23 trillion naira. The development relative to the preceding quarter reflected mainly 19.4% and 7.5% increase in its currency outside banks and demand deposit components. Oil prices rose to their highest level since November 2018 on Monday, lifted by OPEC-led supply cut and U.S. sanctions on Iran and Venezuela. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude oil futures pushed through $56 per barrel for the first time this year, hitting $56.13 a barrel before edging back to $56.02 a barrel. International Brent crude futures hit a high of $66.78 a barrel before easing to $66.65 per barrel, up 0.6 cents from their last close. Let's now take a quick check on how the commodity market fared this Monday. And that's it on this segment of the news. I am Olainka Ojo.
Thank you, Olainka. And now on the foreign scene, here is Obiageli Ogoke for details.
Thanks for joining us. A Zimbabwean magistrate has sentenced prominent opposition politician in the country, Tendai Biti, to 7 days in jail, but has given him the option of paying a $200 fine to avoid imprisonment. The magistrate earlier convicted Mr. Biti of violating electoral legislation by declaring opposition candidate Nelson Chamisa the winner of last year's heavily disputed presidential poll, preempting an official announcement that President Emmerson Mnangagwa has won. In another development, a son of Mozambique's former president Armando Guebuza has been detained over a $2 billion government debt scandal. He was the 9th person to be detained in this case in less than 4 days. Others include Gregorio Leo, then head of economic intelligence, Antonio de Rosario, and his former private secretary, Nis Moen. They are yet to comment. And from Israel comes the report that the country has launched a cyber hotline staffed mostly by veterans of military computing units to enable individuals to report suspected hacking and receive real-time solutions. The 119 call-in numbers to the Computer Emergency Response Center is being built by Israel and cyber experts as a world first. And that's it on the news across the globe. I'm Obiageli Ugoke. Many thanks for watching.
Thank you, Obiageli. And now to sports. Let's join Kene Aima Abodike for details.